Thank you very much for coming. Welcome, everybody. I think people normally start these sorts of events by saying it's a pleasure to introduce the guest, but actually I would have to say that it's a privilege, which is something really quite different. Leah Chishugi describes herself as a survivor of the Rwandan genocide, but I think during the course of this interview we'll discover that she's considerably more than a survivor. She also talks about survivor's guilt, which we'll talk about. Primarily, I'm hoping that for those of you who haven't read her book yet, I'm hoping that she will talk a little bit about the journey that she made after the 6th of April 1994. Leah, I want to start by saying to you that I listened to and watched a couple of interviews that you did for the BBC in 2008 and 2009 after you'd set up your charity, Everything is a Benefit. Everything has a benefit. In those interviews, you were very reluctant to talk about the detail of what had happened to you, which I understood because you were wanting to talk about the charity. But as I read the book, I was so struck by the detail of your story that I wanted to ask you really first, why did you choose to write the book? Because you were so reluctant to talk about the horror that you had encountered, and yet in the book you deal with it. So why did you choose to write it?
Hello, good evening. For me, I choose to... I didn't want to talk about it then because it was not about my pain at the time. It was about other people's pain, other human beings' pain. And to decide to write the book always had been in my head. But I decided because I could see that the atrocity is not finishing yet. I could see that if I'm not saying or talking about my pain, it will continue. Some other people need to understand what the war do to other people. So therefore, I decided to use my experience to help others to understand that it's not a good thing to happen.
Let's go right back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about what your life was like before the 6th of April 1994.
Before the war, before the genocide, my life was just like a normal life, like everybody else's life, like every child in their home and their parents and being in love with everybody. And so I was just a normal kid.
But it was more than that because you were quite privileged, weren't you?
Yeah, I was really privileged. I grew up with both my lovely parents. I went to a very good school. I traveled any country that I wanted to. I was just, very privileged.
And in some respects quite sheltered.
Yeah, I was.
Because you talk about that in the book, that the shock of what happened once the war started reminded you of how cosseted your life had been.
Yeah. For me to have almost everything, when I grew up, my parents used to really treasure me and show me, everything I wanted, I had it. And to see that it can just transform in 1 second and just you become nobody and you just don't have anything at all. It's just now again in my book I'm talking about maybe it's me who is privileged to understand both life, a wealthy life and a poor life and a struggle life, and I think I am really privileged to live it all.
Let's go back to that day then, because that's really where your book starts to take shape. On the 6th of April 1994, you were at the airport,
yeah,
waiting to meet your husband Christian, and you tell me, rather than me describing it, you tell me, you saw the president's plane being shot down.
I was when I was growing up, I did quite a lot of things. I played tennis, I shoots, I used to be a model in my country. So at the time it happened that we were just doing some shooting at the airport. And
just to remind everybody, you were 17 at the time.
Yes, I was 17. And my son, he was just a baby. And I decided the day to go with my son. Some miracle, I decided to take him from my mom and said, today I'm going to hang around with him and then we'll meet his daddy after. And
how old was he?
He was like 5, 6 months. And so it's making me a little bit red to remember all the thing. But for me, being there and it was just a normal day and very quiet for its change, that all the stuff that was happening before, it was not. It was a very quiet day, and I thought, what a lovely day. There's nobody, there is no roadblock. I will go and hang around with my son.
And the stuff before that you're talking about was that you had begun to become aware of the tension between Hutus and Tutsis.
Yeah, it took me about a year to understand the difference. That we are different, but because before then we were just Rwandese. But to know that there is a difference between me and my neighbor or me and my friends, it never occurred to me. So it took me a year to understand there is a war between Hutu and Tutsi, and which was a shock to me to see that we speak one language. We all speak one language. Rwanda is too small, it's not that big. It's not like the Congo, they've got thousands of languages. And what's the difference? Some people were making fun. The reason it could be your nose, your legs, the way you look, long neck. It didn't make any sense to me. But okay, if that's the point, why we're just trying to live along with each other then, but it didn't work.
So tell us what happened on that day when you were doing the film shoot.
We finished shooting and then we decided to go and wait at the local cafe, local restaurant, and have something to eat and drink while I was waiting for Christian. And just a few minutes after, it was 5:45, we just started hearing some noises, the morning cars starting to go up and down, but we didn't really understand. And at 6 o'clock, we just hear big bomb and the smoke all over the place, and everybody's panicking. Even the people we were sitting with in a coffee shop, they're just panicking and talking so fast. And in 45 minutes, an hour, it was blood all over the place, and we stuck at the restaurant where we were sitting and having tea. We just stuck there.
Because you've written about it, I'd like to ask you about it. Can you describe what you saw? Because you were hiding, weren't you?
What I saw with my own eyes is something that I really can't begin to describe. I know some people put it in Hotel Rwanda. For me, I couldn't even watch Hotel Rwanda because it was...
This is the film about
That's the film, but what is in my head, I can't begin to really describe it. It was something that... I was a child myself, even if I had a child. I was a child. I wanted my mommy. I wanted to know what next to do. I was just a teenager, even if I was naughty having a child then. But I just didn't get it. Everything just changed. Everything freeze. I see people changing into something else. I see husband killing their own wife, their own children, because they're having a baby with a different tribe. I saw friends chopping their friends' head off. It's just, I thought I'm in a nightmare. It's a dream. I thought maybe if I concentrate enough, it's gonna disappear. It was just, it happened so fast and very, very horrible things.
From that moment, you were on the run, basically. A 17-year-old, very privileged young woman with a 6-month-old baby. One of the things that you encountered is now, in retrospect, an incredibly notorious. focus of the genocide, which is the church of Nyamata, which is about 35 kilometres south of Kigali. Between the 14th of April and the 19th of April, 10,000 people were killed in and around that church, a Catholic church. Tell us what happened when you came upon that church and you took refuge there.
I don't know, for so many... I grew up as a Roman Catholic child. My parents, my grandparents, they're both Catholic. We grow and know the only place you could find refuge, even the Bible said, is in church. So for me, I was so shocked again to see that I reach in the church where God should be there, the nun, the priest should be there. And I thought maybe here we'll rest for a while until we start another journey.
Apart from your son, you weren't alone. You had somebody else with you. Who was that?
I had the nun, my son's nun. Her name is Donata, and she was there with me. She doesn't speak much. She was a bit shy in her normal life. So also the shock make her even lose more faith and control. And she was older than me. By the time it seems like I have two kids with me because I don't know what kicks in my head that I need to protect her as well and protect as many people as I could. So today I don't understand what makes me really did what I did. It's just another power take over, and I was just trying to help.
And it kind of started in that church, really, didn't it? Because you tell us what happened.
It started in Milcolin because I went to Milcolin before I went to the church.
This is the hotel.
The Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah.
So I decided that I'm not staying there anymore. So I went to church to hide. And when we reached there, the nun gave a phone call saying that they're here, you can come and kill them in here, which was a shock to me to see that the nuns and the priests could authorize the Interahamwe to come and kill us. And I was very destroyed.
So you were lucky enough to have heard that conversation, which allowed you to flee.
Yeah.
How long after you left the church before the killing started?
I don't know. When I heard I have to convince some people who wanted to follow me. And I said, those who want to follow me, they could come because something is going to happen here and it's going to be very bad. And those who believe me, some of them came out. And I think an hour after, there was just plenty of massacre and a lot of blood and killing. I didn't look back, but looking at the pictures now and looking at it itself is not well decorated at the moment. It's still remaining the same. So for me, it just triggered the memory back.
But it's a memorial now, isn't it?
Yeah.
For and you can go to this church and just see shelves and shelves of skulls.
Yeah. And I mean, for me again, I got to say, I don't know. It seems like it was something I was beginning to suspect myself. Why every time something is about to happen, something is going to stop me, and I have to get out. I was getting just no more information. So,
because at one point in the book, Donata, at that point, she's so shocked that you knew that your instinct was to leave. It was almost as though she felt you had supernatural powers.
Yeah.
Did you feel powerful at that time?
No, I was numb. I didn't feel powerful at all. I thought I was feeling a bit. I just didn't understand. Everything I wanted to do is just to run. I wanted just to be alive, and I think most importantly, I was talking again. I said, I think it's motherhood. It's because I was a mother at that time. So I was thinking, I remember when I had my son, the first thing I pray for is for the volcano to stop. I don't want the volcano to ever explode again. And I don't want the war. I just want peaceful land for my son. And I was thinking, is he gonna crawl? Is he gonna do this? Is he gonna eat one day? Is he gonna talk to me? And so for that to change just in a bit, and I think, wow, what can I do? Where can I go? My world was too small at the time. Where can I go? What can I do to save my son? And I think if I did whatever I did, it was because of him.
Let's talk about being a mother, because along the way, so you had a 6-month-old baby and you had the nanny and you were 17. You picked up 2 children along the way. Tell us about that.
I find children sucking their mother's breast when the body is lying down. So
the mothers are
dead, and the children are just sitting there and sucking the breast. And for me, again, it was strange. And I decided to tell Donata, I know you're weak, but you take one and I'll take another one. And I was holding Jean-Luc. And I said, we're trying, if you're tired, I'll carry both of them, but we're not leaving them because the mother dead. Let's take them with us. So I carried them quite until I crossed the border. So they were with me all the time.
Tell us what, if you can, the impulse that made you want to help those children, because it seems to me that it's so much a part of your character.
Yeah, maybe, but I think I was just putting myself in those mothers. If it was me lying down there and Jean-Luc is sucking my breast when I'm dead, I will hope for somebody to pick up my son. So that's at that moment, that's what was in my head. If I'm gonna die and next day or a few minutes after, let me just release, to try my best. If I still have strength to carry my son, I could do it for others.
You were in mortal danger many, many times over a period of about 3 weeks after April the 6th. In those times, when you were trying to get out of Rwanda and you pursued what you wanted to do was get to South Africa, because you felt that that was probably the only country that would be safe for you, you met many people who helped you. Was it easy to trust people?
I think for me, I was just a little bit selfish at the time. All I wanted, it's me to live. So even if I see people, they were just people. Every color that I come across at the time, for me was like, even those who were killing, we were just killing each other. We are all the same. So I did not trust for quite some time. I didn't trust, but I was just in a process of understanding a lot of things. I speak again in the book that I freeze for quite some time. It takes me time to understand people. It gave me a lot of headache to understand even myself. So trusting, I think I began to trust with a lot of process, and that was here in the UK. So I didn't trust much.
But you trusted enough to let those individuals who were prepared to help you, and had they not helped you, you may well have died.
Yeah, and those individuals, they are even helping me now to heal and to trust again. Because when I look back and I try to understand so many things, I understand that without a kindness, even if so many people trying to kill me, but without the kindness of a human nature, there is no way I could heal. So I look back and I check both sides of a human being, and I begin to heal, and I begin to trust, and I begin to love for real. And I trust each and every one of you, because I really do. And I love for real now. And I smile for real, and everything is returning back to me because of my journey.
Let's just hear. I'd like to ask you what I'm assuming is possibly the most harrowing part of that journey, quite apart from the things that you saw. You came across a Hutu farmer, Habi,
Yeah.
who was part of the Interahamwe, and at that point in the book, it felt as though you thought that was it, that was the end, you were going to die, that there wasn't a way out. Tell us what happened.
I think in the book is Emmanuel.
Oh, it's Emmanuel, I'm sorry.
Emmanuel was in a normal life, because he used to work at the border. In a normal life, he was a very scary person. Excuse me. And crossing the border, going to Goma, Kigali all the time. He used to call me Bebe. Sometimes he called me Zairwa, sometimes he called me Maniko, or he gave me a lot of names. So, and he knew exactly who I was. And before the event, Emmanuel kind of say, Leah, I think you are a spy. And I said, what are you talking about? Because I don't even speak Rwandese. I pretend not to speak Rwandese. He says that Tutsis don't speak Rwandese. Most of them, they're foreigners. So cockroaches don't speak Rwandese. So the day I saw him there, that thing went back into my head, and I knew I'm dead. So I talked to Donata. I said, if today is my day, it's just my day. If you leave, try and be strong and go. But I knew that I won't make it even 1 minute. I begged him, I said, I know you're going to kill me, but can you please shoot me? Do not cut my throat. You don't cut my head. And he laughed. He says, why are you killing you, baby? He says, baby Leah, I'm not killing you. He says, your blood in my hands? I'm not going to do it. So I said, so who's going to do it? He said, just get in the car. So I thought, I said, you're going to make my son leave? He says, I'm not going to kill you. So it was strange to me to think that I'm meeting my enemy and he's going to kill me. And then he just didn't want to do it. I was shocked. But I thought whatever he's doing, I'd rather beg him to do it in a decent way. And he didn't do it.
But something did happen that resulted in you being thrown into a pit with corpses.
Oh, he taught me some tricks. He cut me a big cut into my leg. And he said, that's the only way you're going to survive out there. So anytime you come across somebody who wants to kill you, you can go back on the wound and you put it around your son. So people, I'm not cutting you so to kill you. It's not going to kill you. But you bleed enough for people to think you're dead. So a lot of time I was touching there to put blood on me to pretend I'm really dead. Then I meet him again in my journey because he was running that area a lot, which the place where he really wanted. He says, I'm going to give you to another hand because I'm done here. I can't take you further. So, yeah.
When you were lying in that pit, when you wrote about it years later, what was it about surviving that made you think something about yourself? I suppose what I'm trying to get at is, what was it about your character that you learned? Because what you heard was your son's voice, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what happened?
Being there, for me, it was kind of taking a rest for some time because it seems like it was an endless journey and I was getting very exhausted. So lying down and people put dead bodies on top of me. after having a very big cut on my stomach. It was something that I couldn't begin to express, but I was just knocked down. I think I was there for about 8 hours or more.
In the book, you write about it as though you thought you were dead already.
I was dead. It was a big cut, and I knew I couldn't make it. So when I collapsed, I knew I'm gone, because I could hear my son's voice was going, and I couldn't see anymore. So as far as I'm concerned, I was dead. Then it was just during I could see some light coming out, and my son was screaming. He was crying, and I knew that it does have to be just him. So I don't know where the strength come out for me to start moving again and moving the bodies to come out of it. Which again, I got to say, it must be motherhood. It must be the power of a mom trying to reach out. And then I found him sitting out, just there, just lying down there. Nice, and just no harm at all. And I thought it's such an incredible to just see him and him waiting. Even if I didn't want him to see the blood on me, I don't know, I was hoping for my son to never hear this. Oh, to read it. Oh, for the first time, I wish my son was blind. It was not a nice thing to see. I hope it's not in his head. I just hope it's not there. But I fought and I come out again.
And you moved on. You carried on walking. You carried on. In many ways, you carried on trusting, which is why I want to go back to this idea of trust, because you'd seen the most horrific things. The most horrific things had happened to you, and yet every person you encountered, you were prepared to allow them to help you. I mean, in some respects, you were incredibly lucky. The people that you met helped you. Why do you think they did, given what was happening all around them as well?
I think I was just overprotected. I think somehow there must be a divine power that was just protecting me through this journey. Because if I tried to begin to think that I could have done it myself, I'm sure there's so many people survived. But for me, it's how many people are healed, how many people are understanding their suffering. So I suffered a lot when I reached here. I just didn't understand why those people were helping me. I was so angry and upset with those people who helped me. I said they could have let me die. But I was already here in London. I have a roof over my head.
Why were you angry?
Because I didn't see the purpose. I didn't see why living. I didn't see why I'm here. I didn't find the reason. I didn't have any mission. I was not using my life. I was not. I thought I was. Why live? Why I didn't have any. Comment dirais-je? I didn't have any purpose of living. I didn't have any reason of being there. Even if I have my lovely son with me, I was already been working as a nurse. But it was not enough. My life was just empty.
Was a big part of that you didn't actually talk about what had happened? You were reunited with your husband. You discovered that your entire family had not been killed. Your father had been killed. Some of your siblings had been killed, but not all of them. You were reunited with your mother. What was it? Was it that you weren't talking about it, that you were in a community in London that didn't discuss the horror?
I try my best to kind of talk. Some of my friends are here, and they're Rwandese, and I try to kind of put them together all the time, and we try to talk about it. It didn't work because we have a similar. It was difficult for us to talk about the atrocity, but then the reason I didn't talk about it again. Probably is that emptiness of understanding who I am and why I'm here, why am I alive, and so I just didn't want to talk about it because I didn't see where it's gonna go. Well, what can I do to stop whatever happened? Was
it also to do with asking yourself why you were that kind of something that people are aware of, which is survivor's guilt? That why are you alive when so many others died?
Yeah. I suffered that for quite some time, and I just thought I could have died with everybody else. Life could be easy that way. But being alive, I think what makes me even write the book and talk about it now is because I want it to stop, because I can see it's happening in another side. It is happening in Congo. I can see it's happening in Burundi. I can see repeating itself in Rwanda again. So if I'm writing about it and talk about my pain, talk about what happened, it can, because if I'm not talking about it, it could repeat itself again in Rwanda very soon. So when I thought about it, I just decided I better write something very fast.
When you were writing about the specific things that you saw, in the context of what you've just said, that you can see history repeating itself, do you feel that you understand a little bit more about why it happened at all?
Now I think I do understand. Then I didn't understand it. But now I understand that it's got nothing to do with Rwanda itself. It's a combination of a lot of messy politics inside. And the more I try to understand it, the more I get angry because it separated people from their loved ones. And without knowing, you can hurt somebody because in the name of politics. So whatever happened in Rwanda, I just try my best to, I won't say I will forget it, I will never forget it, but to try and forgive and understand that there is no way a human being itself could change into an animal and kill somebody else unless you are brainwashed. So for me to forgive those who kill my loved ones, I have to understand that they were not themselves first.
And you did encounter at least one man who was responsible, admitted responsibility for killing your siblings. Tell us about that, because you went to the prison.
I went to see my mom in Uganda, and she explained to me what happened after. And I said to my mom that, Mama, if I go back, I would love to go and visit this person. Maybe I'll be able to transform or forgive a little bit, because it seems for me that if I'm not forgiven, I won't be able to move on. And I went to prison, and I listened to him talking. But instead, I find that he's in much pain than I am. I found deep inside himself he was already in hell, if hell existed. So I feel sorry for him to be in that stage, because he keeps on saying he doesn't know. And this is a very intelligent man. He used to be a teacher or a professor. For him to say he didn't know what made him do what he did, just went a little bit beyond my imagination. And then I start to question about, yes, the young children killing their mothers, their grandmothers. And so it made me understand that they were brainwashed.
You talked about not feeling that you had any purpose to live anymore in the context of survivor's guilt. Going back to see your mother gave you purpose, didn't it? And what did she tell you?
In the book, I'm describing a lot. I'm describing my mom a lot. She is an incredible woman. She will give you courage just by looking at your eyes without saying anything. And most of the time, even when I was young, my mom used to tell me I'm different. I have a gifted heart that I never understand what she was talking about. So when I went to see her and I said to her, Mama, you just in Uganda, you're a refugee yourself. Why are you having all these people around you? How you feed them? She said, you never understand, Leah. She said, what I want from you is to go back to Congo and help the women in East Congo. I said, Mama, you must be crazy. How can I do that? I live in England. She said to me, you can do it. You can do it. Just go and do something, and then you feel better. You heal. So...
And you listened to her, and you did?
I did. Only I did it later, after she passed away. I thought maybe I should do that first before she killed me. But I did it when my mom passed away in 2008. I went back to the Congo, and after her burial, we went back home, and I feel something like I need really to go and see what is she talking about. I want to do this now. And I leave everybody and I run into the forest, which I stayed there for about 3 months. And then
when
I
you say
understand.
The forest, you went to a very dangerous part of Congo.
Yeah, I went to Walungu, Kanyola, Izege, all those places that they're having trouble at the moment in East Congo. I even went back and I went to Ruchuru, Beni, Bunia, Butembo, where it's really Nyanzari and all those kind of places.
Kind of no man's land for the authorities.
Yeah. For me, it was, again, probably my own way of healing and grieving. But it gave me, I understand what my mom was telling me about. Once you do something good, you heal. And then, yes, I grieved my mom a year, I think last year, that's when I started to feel that she's gone, because I was selfish enough just to do my own thing. But it was something very beautiful to experience, that you can... Sometimes I laugh and I say, it's me being selfish, I'm treating myself really. But it's so nice to understand that you can transform medicine, poison into medicine. And my own way of doing it is to help others. So when I do that, that's when I realized my mission. I said, oh, maybe that's why I live. That's why I decide I fight for my life, is to use my experience, my life, to treasure my own life and other people's life by doing good.
The others that you're talking about are primarily women who are victims of rape in Eastern Congo.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that work.
I decided to open up a charity that called Everything is a Benefit. I love that name because it took me some time to understand, to come up with a name. And the name is Everything is a Benefit. It's because I use my own, again, my own experience, my own pain, the knowledge I have about it to help these women. So when I went to those villages, I found out horrible stuff happening to these people. And they sit there, they complain, they can't even go to the hospital, they sit down with a horrifying image of being raped, being forced for their children to sleep with them, to rape them. They kill their own husband. I just didn't understand. It took me time to come here and sit and understand, and measure my pain, the struggle I went through, to what they're going through every single day. Only they don't know how to get out of it. So I decided to explain and tell them that I know what you're feeling, and what do you mean you understand when you live in Europe? So I used my experience.
Because they didn't trust you to begin with, because you turned up in a Jeep, in a four-wheel drive, and they thought that you were just
I'm just another Muzungu. But they did not trust me. Then I had to tell them, they said, what do you mean? You're Muzungu, you're a white person, you live in Europe. I said, no, I'm not. I live in Europe, but I live more than this. So I sit down. I tell those women they're the first people who actually listen. It's the first time for me to open up about my journey in 1994 to those women.
They were the first people you spoke to about it?
Yeah. So they knew, they understand, and I speak their languages. And I told them a lot about what happened and why I'm there, and so they open up because they hear a lot about myself.
I want to ask you about the United Nations, because in 1994 they had no mandate to intervene, and currently, although the United Nations have made rape...
I hope there is no UN in here.
It's okay if there is. I think we're still in a democracy, we're allowed to speak. The United Nations have made rape as a weapon of war a crime. And yet, in the areas where you have been trying to help these women, they are nowhere to be seen. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Because for those who go to Goma or they go to Bukavu, they go to East Congo, you see UN around in town all over the place. And their mandate apparently is limited to go and help around and be anywhere close to where the problems are. And recently, for those who have been following the news, I mean, it's just there have been so many attacks around the area, and in Walikale, of course, there was so many attacks just very close, about an hour, half an hour drive. And the MONUC is not doing anything. For me, it's not strange because, well, it's not strange to me. I never see their purpose. They're supposed to be there protecting the people. They're supposed to be peacekeeping. They're supposed to be there helping to protect for the sake of the people, and they're not doing it.
In 94, you were really shocked that they were not able to protect the
In
people.
94, I did ask a question. As a 17-year-old, I said, can you stop? And we were still at Remera near the airport. They said, they're not killing us. They're killing each other. So it's okay. I said, so all this, they had all this cars and guns you got no right to stop them from cutting each other up? They said they're not attacking us. So that's still in my head. I still have it there, and that they couldn't help us. They didn't have a right, apparently, to stop it.
Given what you've just said, do you place much more faith in the kind of work that you're trying to do on the ground than you do in any kind of conventional, structured politics?
Yeah, I got to say, I think what I do, it's nothing major like the UN, like Oxfam, whatever. It's just something I do for a beginner. I used to say for my own personal reason. But the only way you could change something is for me, if there is anything I can change, if it is just one drop of water in the sea, I would love to do it. My only way of maybe stopping whatever is happening in East Congo is by doing what I'm doing, by speaking out, by writing about it in there, because whatever happened in Rwanda is the reason the Congo is suffering at the moment. I'm talking a lot about it in the book. Is what is happening in East Congo, in wherever, Rwanda is that small. We don't have much. We're not really that rich. So you look at it in my own head. I don't force anybody to think about it that way. But if I look at it, I think, what is it that they wanted from us? We don't have anything apart from tea. We only grow a little tea to go around the country. Sometimes you don't get it. We buy it in Kenya as well. So obviously, it's something that they want from the neighbor and is affecting them so much that it affects us. Yeah, it happened so fast. We died, and so many things happened. But whatever is happening in Congo, if there is anything I can do to stop, because I think you have to stop, because there's so many people, so many children are feeling exactly the way I'm feeling right now, the pain. They want to change something, and you grow up with it. And if you don't find a solution, you become a rebel. So if they don't stop it now, then it's gonna repeat itself, because there is so many children are deciding to go in the forest. They're deciding to go and follow other rebels because of anger. If they love, they have security, they have school, there is no way they can do it. So if there is anything I can do to stop in my book, a lot of people, they think it's a lot about politics, but it's also a lot about children. If they read, they will understand my pain. I'm talking about the inner pain that is in there. And my fear is, if they are feeling the way I feel and they don't know how to change it, the only way they can do is to pick up that gun, and they will return to Rwanda. They will do anything. Let's talk about it. Kagame did it. Kagame was one of the people who feel exactly the way I feel. Why I'm not in my country? I want to return in my country. So the way he wanted his people to go back, the only way he could do it is to start and go and ask Museveni, let's do it. You need to help me. I don't want to remain Ugandan. I want to go back. So Kagame, at the time, he was 52. He was young as well. So if there is anything I can do for these children to understand that you can transform it. You can transform that anger to do something positive instead of doing something negative. And that's all I'm doing. If the UN can do that, I don't know. But that's all I teach them. When I'm around them, I just say to them, there is a lot to it. You can do something better. You can go to school. You can be happy. You can be happy, trying to be happy. I remember when I was in the street and I don't know what to do. Now all the paradise is confused, is gone. I was singing to my son, and I tell him, you can be happy. I had enough love to protect him. So if these children, if their mothers have enough, just a little bit, they don't ask much. For me, I was just grateful to have water sometime. So, I remember he said to me one day, my son said, Mama, I remember when we asked water in one village and they give us dirty water. So at the time, I didn't see it as dirty water. But now when I look back and I look in that cup, the water was very, very dirty, as if you just finished clean your floor with it. But I look at it 14 years after, then I remember that water was dirty. But he remembered it. So, and that's something that gives me a courage of writing, because I'm sure the book is in English. Our children in England, they will read it. The others is similar. I'm talking a lot about love and crime and all sorts of pain is in the book. But 2-3 years ago in London, we also experienced a lot of knife crime. And that hurt me, because I wanted to know why these children are doing it. Again, I got to go back and say, not enough love. For me to stand here and to talk and to you and to everybody else is because I think my mom fed me enough love. I'm full of it, and I still have enough to give to other people. It's what they say in French, la source. I had it there, and when I feel empty, I go back and take it again from my mom, and that's what I give to these women and these children. I went there last time. I didn't have much to give them because I didn't prepare my journey very well. But they said to me, no, we don't want anything. We're just happy that you are here. We're going to talk to you again about our problem. We just want to sit with you and talk with you. That's all they want. Even if it hurts me to go back in the village without empty-handed. But it's just all they want is to hear what I'm saying, what I'm talking. So
is doing that giving you peace, finally?
I think that's my own therapy. That's definitely part of me healing. I do suffer a lot from headache and stuff when I don't get answers. But when I do humanitarian work, it really gives me peace. It makes me understand me, because sometimes it's difficult to understand myself, but it does help me to understand who I am.
Leah, thank you for helping us understand you. I'm going to open it up to the audience because I'm sure you've got lots of questions. So, is there a microphone? Yes, there is.
That was an extraordinary account, and I feel very privileged to be listening to someone who's, in a way, got over so much pain. I've just come back from Kigali.
From?
From Rwanda.
Yeah.
This morning. Someone said that you're talking, so I wanted to hear. But I was talking even yesterday to other survivors of the genocide, and one of them blamed, he said, really it was the United Nations that caused me to stay, because I felt the problems when at school I had to stand up because I was Tutsi as opposed to Hutu. They separated us at school even 3 years before the genocide happened. And he said we stayed because we thought the United Nations, as long as they were there, they would intervene, they would stop the ultimate bloodshed. So I thought that was interesting. But how has it affected your view towards Catholicism? How has your experience of the church affected your attitude towards God, towards religion?
For some time, I'll go back to the UN. For me, I don't see their purpose. I don't see, and I don't take it as, I'm not upset with them. I'm just trying to understand what's their meaning of being in a war zone. They didn't just do it in Rwanda. They did it in Sierra Leone. They did so many places. So now they are doing it in Congo. It's been going on since 11 years, and they're still not doing anything. I spoke about it for about 3 years now ago, and still, when I go and visit, they're still doing the same. Their mandate is always not enough to help those who are doing it, and to help these rebels, oh, so many languages are clicking in. So, but for me, I just don't. I don't get it. They ask me a lot about the UN, and I just don't want them to think that I'm against what they're doing. I'm not saying it's 59 and 100% they're not doing their job. Maybe they are doing it, but I've got to say they are doing it wrong because it's so obvious that it's still happening. My relationship with God is a bit complicated. It's, again, I was a child, going to church all the time, and I already thought I was his favorite. My son, I take him to church all the time. Yeah, I try my best. I go to church. But that's a second of I got to say, it's seeking for understanding, for peace. You go and find it. You try your best to. I used to think is in the church where I'll find him. It's in the church where I'll listen to him, or you listen to me. And as I grow and the more I try to understand him, the confused I get. So I decide myself that God is not outside me. God is inside me. I decide that there is no God, so that I can stop being angry with him, so I can stop blaming him. I need to take responsibility for my action now. I decide to make him a good spirit that lives in me, and I decide to make the devil a bad spirit, or the Satan, whatever they call it, that exists also in me, because I believe that we have both spirits. Every human being have that spirit, and I have to choose which one I want to use. And then I choose the good side. But if that's what you call God, but I think it's just me, decide to be me. And I think that's the only way, if he exists. One day, if I go up or down, and I don't want to be on his wrong side, but I think it's me, it's my actions that I call God or you call God. So just to be on good side, on his good hand.
I read your book. It was very moving. Thank you for writing it.
Thank you.
Is it a bit premature to try to set up some small businesses over there?
I beg your pardon?
Is it a little soon to try and set up some small business there? This is what I do. I set up small businesses. And
where, in the Congo?
Yes.
No, it's a very, very huge country, and they need as much help as they can get. They need knowledge. They need to understand a lot of things. Here we have plenty of internet cafe when we don't have internet at home. They don't have that. They don't. I mean, it's a huge country with less knowledge. So wherever you can do, you.
Everything has a benefit.
Everything is a benefit.
There's a gentleman over there who's got the. We'll come to you next.
I wondered what you thought the role of the Congolese army was in. Excuse me. I wondered what you thought the role of the Congolese army was in preventing the bloodshed and the rape, particularly in the Kivu regions.
For those who have followed my interview since 2 years, you understand that I talk and I blame the government a lot. I think the Congolese government is a failed government, and that's the reason that they did not protect the East that much. My knowledge is the East Congo is a very wealthy area compared to minerals and stuff like that. And if I was, for example, a president of Congo, I'll protect that area because everybody are focusing in there. For more than 14 years, there is not enough protection in those areas. And the new government, there were enough protection, in the area. And the new government, I think, either they just ignore it or they they leave it not secure in purpose, because their own soldiers, they're doing the same thing that the rebels are doing. For those who go and help...
So you're talking about the rape. This happens on all sides. It's not just the militia.
It's not just the militia. So their own soldiers been doing it for some time. And now they change. The rebels, they come up with this story about Kimia 1 and Kimia 2. And it's even confusing me because it's the same rebels. They just change them and give them the government uniform. So I got to say, what is justice for these women? Why are they not helping them enough? And why changing the same people who are raping them? You give them uniform to become an armed soldiers. So the government is not doing enough, I'm afraid. So all the time I plead for the international community and the government to come together and do something. And that's why I got to say whatever is happening in East Congo is very, very political and a very big mafia that so many people are involved in. And it's not going to stop now until really they find somebody who's standing strong enough to protect those areas. Congo is very, very rich and very, very big. In every corner of Congo itself is really wealthy country, but in the meantime, very, very poor at the moment. The population is suffering a lot.
Lady here in the front.
Yes, Leah, thank you very much. It was very, very moving. What kind of help do you get when you go to Congo at the moment? And have you also got any positive help or response in France? Because of course France is very close, has very close links with Congo.
No, I haven't get any links in France. I'm so grateful for those who been helping me for a couple of years since I decided to become Everything is a Benefit. For a start, that's starting just me and my son, just go in and give our time and the little we have for these people. And until I decide really to, and I have a charity, it's been just 1 year since I received a charity registration number. I got to confess, I'm really messy coming to fundraising. Just hoping, because the book also slowed me down a bit, and I had a hard time writing it, and I had a very difficult year in 2009. It was very hard for me, so it affected a little bit of charity, me being sick, fighting for my life again, and then straight away I started to write the book. So it slowed things down, but I'm talking and saying all the time that I hope now I'm strong enough to really make it a very successful charity and welcome all those who knows how to fundraise and donation and stuff like that, because I'm stuck. All I do well is just talk and raise awareness.
One of the things that happened, one of the direct results of the trauma that you suffered was that you lost the ability to read and write. Was that partly why it was really difficult for you to write it? Obviously, in addition to having to relive the experience through writing.
No, the trauma stopped me from talking and writing for about I mean, not talking, I didn't talk for about 4 months, just not talk at all. And writing, it took me some time to really write. I couldn't
you had to relearn that.
I can read, but I could not write for quite some time. And even to write my name, I just didn't want to do it because I was scared that if I write, I'll write that. And so slowly, I regained that, yeah.
Lady in the front. Thank you for your story. Something I think about a lot, and you've touched upon this, is in societies where there is ongoing conflict and you've got traumatized people undergoing re-traumatization all the time, what is your, do you have some kind of answer around how to help people where you cannot change the circumstance that they are living in? You know, is it through story? Is it through, as you say, through empathy, through love, through, you know, I'm completely, I mean, I'm from South Africa, and, you know, for example, the Truth and Reconciliation Commission was a way we tried to address trauma in our country, and that was using stories. And but in places where there is, you know, our story ended, whereas other stories aren't ending.
I think people get wrong. In my book, I said I did not want to be in a refugee camp, and I never did. I didn't want to be a charity. I didn't want a charity case. Because when you're in that kind of trauma, all you need is somebody to tell you it's gonna be all right. That it's just a little thing, because everybody is hoping, how am I gonna get out of here? And when somebody say it's gonna be all right, it's feel better. I remember when we were sitting in a group long time ago. Then you see ads, people coming to donate, to give you things. They look at you with a sad face. And then even if you had a little hope in you that morning, you feel, oh, do I look really that bad? Am I gonna die now? But when you come and donate something and you put a smile on your face and shake somebody's head, and you know what? People are thinking about you. Where I come from, that's why I say to these women, that's exactly why I'm transforming my pain into theirs. When I think, oh, this is me, Leah. And don't look at my skin, don't look at things, but my people in England, in UK, they know about you. I tell them about you, so they sympathize with you. So, and I try to explain to them, because I understand that anger. The gentleman just told me about the UN is a fault, it's the fault of the UN. But when you're outside in that trauma, it's not the UN, it's everybody. But if you can just use, for me, in my book, I use people like Helen Castle. She's right there. She used to be my solicitor, my lawyer. I use experience in my book about people who helped me in the journey. I use small love that I get. Somebody gave me a banana in the street. And I didn't have one banana, and we were 3 of us. And for those who go in Congo, there's small, petit camera. It's a very little one. You just think how to share one banana. And you're 3 of you. But the person who did it helped me now. Now I look back. I look back for those Hutus, those Interahamwe who refused to kill me. Just because I smile and I try to teach them how to kill me. They laugh, but there must be a reason why they did it. So I just be grateful for everything, but it's only now. So if you want to help those who are in trauma, just try to do just that little thing. Now, 10, 20 years after, it takes time, but then they're going to look at it back and it's going to help them to heal. It's not that I'm doing it now, I'm having this, what I'm giving to you now is change it. Probably won't drink it, but when they look back, it's going to help to heal. That's how I heal. I heal for just somebody tell me, don't worry, you'll be all right. Another person just cut the wrappers and cover my wounds. So if they didn't like me, if my life was really that traumatized, they won't do it. But now, 16 years after, 17, is helping me to understand just that little drop.
You say in your book that your mother taught you that whatever you have, you must share.
Yeah.
And you seem to have really remembered that in everything that you think now.
Yeah. A friend of mine just told me not so long ago, she said, why you give what you don't have? She said, you have this appearance as if you have a lot. But when you give even the last bit, it's because that's the only way I get. I get where I don't expect where. And I was, the little bit I have, for me, it's always big. It's always too much. It's, and I don't care if I don't have tomorrow. So I only live for today. So, yeah.
Just wait for the mic.
Thank you. That was very moving. I wanted to just ask you if you can tell us a little bit more about the charity that you've set up. Just what sort of initiatives would you be looking to implement with the money that you'd raise from your funding activities?
The charity is what I want to achieve for these women and children. In the book, I'm talking about my dad having a lot of coffee farmer. He had a lot of land, and that I don't need. One of them is my mother's, and I don't need it. I live here. I have a roof over my head. They don't. What I wanted to do is to help these women and build their security home wherever they're staying, because they're in my land, but it's not enough home, enough roof. It's not built. I wanted to build some schools for the children. I was talking about making them happy, change something so that they go to school, they have something they're doing. So I wanted to build school for these children. And I wanted to be, because most of these women, I take them to a local hospital. It used to be the Belgian left there. It's quite a beautiful hospital, but it doesn't have enough equipment. It doesn't have enough doctors. It's very neglected. So therefore, I wanted to communicate and work with them by taking these women there, because it's not 1 minute I'll come and build the hospital. But I want to be taking these women there, as everything is a benefit, hopefully fundraise and get medicine from here and send it there so they can be at least treated. The hospital is in a very bad condition. They don't even have bed, they don't have blankets, they use scissors, one scissors with operation every woman. When here we are so spoiled that to just even go, they don't have electricity. They don't have, let's not talking about electricity. They don't have needle. It's the first time I saw one needle that we throw away. They still sterilize it in the water outside so they can use it to the next patient. It's not existed anymore, but I saw it with my proper eyes in Walungu Hospital, which scares me. And again, understand how privileged I have, that I could just call my GP and sometimes not even turn up. And that the hospital is that empty. One operation room that every woman is waiting to. They don't have ambulance. So last time I was there 3 weeks ago, is plenty of room like this, and waiting list for women from 4 months pregnant, leaving their home, come and stay at the hospital because of the journey. They don't want to miscarriage or they don't want to lose their babies, so they stay in the hospital until they give birth. So I would love to, everything is a benefit to support that hospital, because a lot of people talking about Panzi Hospital, which is Mukwege Hospital. Panzi Hospital is in town, is in about 15-minute drive, and lot of rich, wealthy women, they go to Panzi Hospital to give birth. When Walungu Hospital, where the problem is, which is near Kanyola, Izege, Ngando, all those places where the problem are, it's just next door, but they don't have anything. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of women are dying, and with infections and all sorts of stuff. So I would love to work with that hospital and start as soon as possible.
That probably has to be the last question, I think.
Hi, Leah. Thanks very much for everything this evening. How do you reconcile, obviously you've taken a lot from living in London, but how do you feel about the West and their involvement? And you talk about the UN, and you've obviously got a lot of anger there. And there's also a lot of Western companies still now exploiting, particularly the mineral wealth in the Congo, and still kind of trading. And I think even today there's been new contracts announced with the government, and people are kind of exploiting it without giving back to the charities. And how do you kind of reconcile that with the benefits that you've had from staying here, and what's kind of your feelings towards that, and what else do you think can be done?
Very good question. For me, I got to say that lots of time I talk and I said about the international community should give back, because the Congo is so big, and the Belgian tried to take the Belgian with Congo money, the Belgium. So the French people, exactement, they did the same thing. But there is no way you can finish the resource of Congo. Is there, and you remain there. But since they don't understand how to use their own wealthy, give a little, take a little and give a little. There's so many ways and so many things you can do by giving. Instead of just taking and not giving enough, is not fair. And on top of that, these women are losing their life, their husband, their children, for their own wealthy. I think if we're trying to go deep inside and check our humanitarian and human side, we are doing horrible things to the Congo. And I understand, me living in Congo when I was a child, and go back and look at the people now, they're not happy anymore. Congolese people, we used to say Zairean, all they know is to dress nice and smile all the time. But now you just see nothing but sad faces. I was in Kinshasa in 2009, and apparently they found some places where there's petrol. And I said, oh, there's petrol in Kinshasa, you should be happy. Oh, no, it's fear. Again, another something coming? No, we don't want the petrol. We have enough, no more wealthy. They didn't want it. They don't want to go and dig it because they're scared it's going to create more trouble. But I believe the international community, they could give a little for what they are taking. All these companies, we're using laptop, we're using mobile phone. Without Congo, we won't communicate at all. So it's only the Congo that is giving us whatever material we are using. So if we can give back, it would be nice. And that's why maybe I'm seriously upset with the UN.
Leah, thank you so much. It seems very inadequate for me even just to say thank you for sharing your story. It is a remarkable story, and you are a remarkable human being. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you for talking to all of us, and good luck with everything that you do.
Thank you.